They hadn't spoken in 11 years. 11 years of silence that felt like a lifetime. It started in 1962. Samuel Chen didn't just open a store, he planted a flag. He believed the man's word was his bond. Milford was a town built on tools and sweat. In 1988, the keys were passed to Robert. A new generation. Robert carried the store like a sacred trust, a witness to every dream in Milford. The store was the heart of the town, rows of tools and the smell of hope. Robert taught his sons that community was the real legacy. In the summer of 1989, they weren't strangers. They were shadows of their father, learning that a family legacy is built one honest day at a time. Robert always said, "Measure twice, cut once." He wanted them to understand that once a thing is broken, the repair is never quite the same. Robert faced a choice: save the store or save the son's future. He chose both, and in doing so, he planted the seeds of 11 years of silence. Daniel picked it up first. He was the one who stayed, the one who remembered the exact rhythm of the lock. He felt Michael's eyes on him like a judge. Michael was the younger one, the son who left. Neither of them spoke. The air between them was thick with a decade of unsent letters and unanswered calls. Michael became a king in a cage of glass and steel. He had the view, but no one to share it with. Every win felt like a loss he couldn't name. Daniel's life was a series of quiet sacrifices. He didn't ask for applause. He just did what someone had to do. He stayed behind the walls of his own duty. When their mother's illness took hold, Daniel felt like the only person left on earth. He wanted to call his brother, but the pride on both sides was too high. Michael knew. Deep down, he knew something was wrong. But the further he ran, the harder it was to turn around. He chose the distance. When their mother faded, the last thread snapped. Michael left before the dirt settled. The silence became a character in their family. It happened on a Tuesday. Quick, decisive. A heart attack that didn't leave room for goodbyes. Robert was gone, and the keys were all that remained. 3 days ago, the silence became permanent. Robert Chen died on a Tuesday. He'd spent 11 years asking the same question. When will my sons talk again? He never got his answer. Daniel was there at 8 a.m. Old habits are all he has. Michael arrived 47 minutes late. In Milford, that's an insult that cuts deep. The key was small, brass, worn smooth by their father's hands. It was the only thing left that still worked in a house where everything else had broken. The key was brass, worn smooth. It was the first thing they shared. The lock was rusty, but the door finally groaned open. A tomb disturbed. The store exhaled when they entered. 3 years of stillness, disturbed. The shelves were bare, the register empty, a ghost of a legacy. Then, the past literally fell between them. A photograph from 1989. 2 boys who worshiped their father. Glass cracked right across the middle. Every receipt was a chapter in their forgotten story. Daniel found the year 2003. He tried to hide it, but the truth was finally ready to be seen. $47,000. Emergency loan. Michael's voice was a whisper. That was the year I asked for law school money. Dad said the store couldn't afford it. The insurance didn't cover the specialists, Daniel said. We needed that money just to keep her comfortable. We needed exactly $47,000. Michael realized the silence wasn't a wall. It was a lie. Dad made me promise, Daniel said. He wanted you to leave. He wanted you to be someone. The secret was out. The silence was broken, but the bridge was still in ruins. What now? Michael asked. The store waited for an answer. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It makes room for the truth. The truth has a way of staying buried until it's heavy enough to crush everything above it. Mom's treatment, Daniel whispered. The insurance didn't cover the specialists in Chicago. We needed exactly $47,000 just to keep her comfortable. Robert Chin didn't hesitate. He took a second mortgage on the building he'd spent his life maintaining. He traded his legacy for his wife's dignity. 20 years of resentment. Michael realized now that the only person who'd abandoned him was himself. The store wasn't his prison. His pride was. You got to become someone, Michael. I stayed and watched them both fade. The store, Mom, Dad, and I watched you miss all of it. Every hard night, Daniel had dreams that didn't include hammers and nails. Architecture school, Chicago. But someone had to be the foundation. He chose to stay for Michael. I should have come back, Michael said, his voice thick with emotion. But the truth is, I was scared of becoming the man I ran away from. The silence wasn't cold anymore. It was heavy with the truth. They sat in that store until dark. No more secrets, just the weight of them. The first contact in 11 years. A firm gesture of connection. Daniel didn't pull away. He leans in. The silence was finally, truly broken. They chose the possible. Michael would fund the renovation. Daniel would lead the work. Shared future. No more running from home. Commitment. The renovation took 6 months. Michael flew back every weekend. Then he just stopped leaving. Milford wasn't a shadow anymore. It was home. Harmony. They were rebuilding a family, brick by brick, choice by choice, making room for a future they could both own. Chin's community hardware. Strength. It was something new, something together. A hub for the town and a sanctuary for the two men who had finally found their way home. Connection. It was something new, something together. A hub for the town and a sanctuary for the two men who had finally stopped running from their past. The store made money, but more importantly, it made connection. Something that LA couldn't provide and Milford had almost lost. Connection. Finally. We look happy, Michael said. We were, Daniel replied. And we can be again. The past was no longer a wound. It was a foundation. Partner. Michael sold his apartment, bought a house 3 blocks away. He met the version of himself that stayed. A complete family. Connection. Finally, the first cup of coffee wasn't just a drink. It was a promise. A promise that this place was for everyone. Gather. Be known. Sensory. They started classes on weekends. Daniel was the teacher he always wanted to be. A laboratory for the future. Every birdhouse was a victory. Growth. Michael remembered the city, the noise, the speed, the pursuing of the next win. He realized now he'd been running toward a void. Home found. Vision. Daniel finally applied to school. He's designing the town's new park. He stayed for love, and now he stays for himself. Brotherhood of mutual support. Reward. The past is a shadow, but the future is the light that creates it. They are walking toward the light. A breathtaking sunset over Milford. Resonance. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It makes room for the future. Rebuild your bridge. Today, forgiveness is home. Rebuild.